Testing. Hello.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, I think we'll get started. We're burning daylight, and I'm sure all of you are anxious to be wherever, our virtual beach or whatever it was. My name is Ryan Poland, and I am from the University of Utah College of Law. And I'm presenting with Terry Utter and Novita Handoko from the University of Pepperdine. And I guess, as you can tell, we're going to be talking a little bit about 24/7 support. And interestingly, as you notice the virtual beach, I sort of chose a virtual beach, one, because it was the image I could find quickly. I threw this together during lunch. I thought it would be, sort of something fun. But I chose the virtual beach because one thing about 24/7 support we need to realize, I guess, right off the bat is the limitations that exist there within. There's only so much you can do remotely and so much you have to do here. I'm sure our wonderful technical people would love to be not here, but there are limitations to everything. What we would like to do during this is break it up into 3 general segments. The first is talking about some more policy and procedures around IT support and some of the difficulties we've noticed at our institutions. Then we'd like to transition to more enabling and empowering users to be able to solve some of their own problems and difficulties regarding maybe taking shifting some of the burden from IT staff to the people who are choosing to work at 2 in the morning. And then we would like to transition and show some services that we've found useful and helpful and that you guys might find helpful. They're not to be the end-all, be-all solution to how to do anything. I'm sure you can all think of many other ways to do. It's just a suggestion that we have. But first I'd like to get a general feel of the audience and what you're here for so that hopefully we can custom tailor a little bit and not harp on, I don't know if you don't want to talk about policy and procedures. We don't have to. But so with just a raise of hand, who here is more interested in, you can vote more than once, by the way, but who here is more interested in policy and procedures? Anybody? More than, say, empowering users to help themselves, or more than seeing how to remotely fix your network. Does that make sense? So if you're into policy and procedures, you're trying to figure out what your managers should or should not be monitoring 24/7, how to compensate them, that would sort of apply to you. If you're not at all interested in that, that's totally fine. But does that make sense? Policy and procedures? All right, excellent. How about if you are a recipient of working at, or if you are working at 2 in the morning or something like that, and you want to learn how to empower your staff to be able to use things like intranets more powerfully and FAQs. Anybody? All right, excellent. A couple more. And who wants to know how to fix their servers from Hawaii? All right, a couple of more. All right, excellent. Is what we'll probably do is we're going to run through those 3 segments, and we're going to try and leave some time at the end for questions and stuff like that. But if there's anything totally pressing, feel free to raise your hand and jump in. So with that, I'd like to turn the time over to Terry.
How's the volume? Okay, in order to prepare for this discussion, I surveyed 7 California law schools, IT departments, 5 of whom responded, regarding the necessity of 24/7 support. The general consensus overall is that servers and the network require 24/7 support, and pretty much anything else can just wait till regular working hours. Even within these parameters, there was disagreement as to which servers should have 24/7 support. Generally speaking, it's some combination of web, email, portal, and mainframe. Most schools house some or all of their servers with main campus, and the personnel to support them was also supplied by main campus. Most schools have some kind of help desk where calls are triaged. Most of these help desks did have extended hours, although not 24/7 support. The help desk, usually you could leave a voicemail or an email during off hours if the user was unable to get someone during extended hours. At Pepperdine, central campus phones during off hours are actually forwarded to public safety, so theoretically they could get a hold of the IT department if there was a technical emergency. Not everybody agrees with this. One person I surveyed at the University of Santa Clara felt that there was absolutely no need for anything to have 24/7 support. As law schools become more and more web-based, we think there is a need to at least consider 24/7 support for critical systems. And a couple questions I want you to think about that if we have time we can discuss, if time permits later in the session, is what are your feelings regarding 24/7 support? Is it necessary? And if so, which systems should have 24/7 support? If you do not have main campus support or you choose not to have main campus support, there are many programs to help notify you by various means when you're having server problems. You can have a page, an email, a text message to your cell phone, and we'll be discussing some of those and demonstrating some of those solutions later on in this session. Problem then becomes, how are you compensated beyond regular working hours? Most schools that I surveyed seem to pay for DSL and or cell phones for their employees who monitor critical systems. The university is paying for your cell phone. Are you obligated to answer it at 2 a.m.? I posed this question to our law school dean, and he said that he felt, as the man in charge, he was obligated to answer it at any time of the day or night, but none of the other law school employees would be. Unfortunately, he's leaving, and I hope the next dean feels the same way. The next important question is, are you an exempt employee? Exempt in a nutshell means you do not get paid overtime. Being in California, we have a unique situation. We have the strictest labor code laws of any state in the union. Our very few computer professionals do not get overtime in California. You must be paid overtime and hourly unless you make $44.63 an hour, which equates to over $91,000 a year. And every year, this figure is adjusted according to the CPI. Even then, there are guidelines, even if you make that much money. I have a listing of websites on a different set of resources here if anybody's interested. Schools in my survey did pay overtime for employees who work outside the normal working hours. Schools in other states only need to adhere to the Federal Labor Standards Act, which is much less restrictive, unless they have their own state labor codes. More questions for you to ponder. How do your schools handle the compensation? Should the schools pay for cell phones and DSL lines? Are there other services they should pay for? Are you paid overtime? Should you be paying overtime? We think web servers, email servers, and portal servers need some type of 24/7 support as law schools become increasingly web-driven. Our main campus professors are now grading exclusively online, and support for them is vital. Perhaps we need support only at peak times such as grading and registration. At Pepperdine, we've been looking at ERPs, and we haven't decided on one yet, but most are web-based, which allows greater flexibility for working off campus and off hours, but then it becomes more important for the servers to be up longer and to be monitored more closely. This concludes my portion of the discussion, and Navita is now going to discuss methods of supporting users.
Now I want to talk about some ways that users can troubleshoot problems themselves. So even if one of the technical staff isn't there 24/7, then they're able to do some little troubleshooting steps and hopefully solve some of the minor problems. And we found that by doing this, it kind of enables the user and helps them feel a little technically savvy so they know what's going on, feel more comfortable with the computer. But we did find that there were some places that did not want their users to troubleshoot problems themselves. They just said, let them reboot, and if it doesn't work, then we'll come over there and figure it out. what we found is that if we can get our users to do some basic steps, such as reboot their computer, check that their cables are plugged in securely, see if the lights are on, it saves everybody time, and they don't have to come and find us to, say, oh, well, your network cable's not plugged in, go ahead and do that, or something like that. We've also tried to designate one person in each department to be the go-to person. And so in that way, we can train just one person in the department to check all of these basic steps, and that can be a person that everyone can go to, and they don't have to come and find us. We have one lady in a department. She knows just the basics of how to burn a CD, how to work Microsoft Word, and all the little tips and tricks of, okay, well, try this cable in another computer and see if that works so we know what's going on. And also, when we are trying to show a user how to change the resolution on a computer, or how to set up your desktop wallpaper, or getting a network printer to work, we have them sit in front of a computer and do it themselves. And they can steer, and we can kind of direct them on where to go and what buttons to push. And we feel like this is just a good hands-on way for them to learn and remember, instead of just having to watch us do all of it. I also want to show you the website that we have at the law school. And we have one for faculty and one for students. And this one, you can see it has information about their work computer and their home computer and writing and research. Their work computer has more questions like, how do you set up Outlook on campus? Or if their Internet Explorer comes up with a specific error, how can they fix that? You can also see in the announcements we have monthly network maintenance that happens. And we put it here so that people can look here and know when it's going to happen and know, okay, email's not working. Oh yeah, I remember they're doing maintenance until this time or something. And on one of our pages, we have a support page where users can put in their name, email address, phone number, and any questions or comment that they may have. When they submit this page, it gets emailed to 3 people within our department. And there's usually someone there that's checking email constantly during office hours. When it's not office hours, then usually on the weekends, one of us is checking our email just out of habit. And so someone can respond to them if it's an urgent request. We can tell them, okay, we understand, we know, we can help you in this way. We also have a few brochures that we brought, and that's mainly for the students, and we have that in our labs and in our libraries. And that shows students how to connect to the wireless network, how to connect to their printers, how to connect to our network storage drives. And it's a good first step that they can go to if they can't find one of us or if they don't have time to go to our office. Another thing we have is we use our main campus support team. And so we have a number that they can call if we're not available. And so we also provide all of our main campus support team with a playbook, which provides information about different programs that we use that they may not, such as Twen and Westlaw and even WordPerfect. And it has information about what is the program, who to contact if something goes wrong, and for WordPerfect, what are system requirements, and then at the bottom it has troubleshooting steps of this is usually what goes wrong, and this is how to fix it. And I realize that not everybody here uses their main campus support, so Ryan's going to show you different ways that you can support your own systems.
I think I'm supposed to mute this thing before I turn on. All right, are we good? Excellent. The technology worked. So not all of us have a giant main campus helpline. We at the University of Utah, actually, we really don't have 24/7 support. And a lot of the IT staff really don't want 24/7 support. But a lot of users do. But I find myself to be sort of a practical person. I would much rather fix something before 7 in the morning when I have 300 people yelling at me about why they can't read their email and get ready for class. So it's in my own sort of personal, selfish best interest to know what's going on with my network. So regardless of the fact of whether I want to support it or not, it's sort of in my interest at least to know what's going on, and then I can choose from there. So that's what I'd sort of like to show is some things that, and that's actually what we have on your handout. If you look at your handouts, we threw together 2 parts. One is a list of monitoring services, and we have 10 monitoring services there that I just fooled around with. 2 are free. One is Windows-based, and it's called Big Brother, and the other is Linux-based, it's called Nagos. And I like both of those. Nagos, I would say, run with Red Hat 7. It took me forever to try and figure out how to run it on a different platform, and even with Red Hat 7, it took me quite a few days to get it set up. I'm not a Linux person, so that's probably why. But Big Brother, it took me about an hour and a half to get set up and configured, and so that's not bad. You still have to use text messenger. So I just sort of like to show you what that looks like briefly, and then talk about some things that we're going to do. This is the monitoring website. It is actually hosting. It is actually being hosted right now on a live server in Utah, and we are going to play with some of these servers and take them down and turn them on and off and all sorts of fun stuff. They are on a secure or a private VLAN network. I don't have to muck with any users, so that's good. You'll notice right here we've got a test server, a switch, some Windows 2000 box, Windows XP box, some router, and you'll notice we're looking at Google. You can see some of the different connections that we can just grab. So basic connection, that's just a ping. You can look at web services, telnet, and something that I'm going to demo a little bit later is VNC. I'd like to stop and just, I guess, just show you a little bit of how this network's sort of set up. And I'm sorry for those of you who are in the back, but and I'll sort of show you. But it's just how this network's set up and how I would sort of suggest doing it, I guess. But for more or less, basically right now we just have a world, a router, which is the router right there. We've got a switch, which is CALI test switch. And you'll notice we've got a CALI server, which is CALI BB server. Yay, happy day. It's running Windows 2003, and it is a domain controller. Off the switch, we've got two boxes. We've got a Win2K box and a WinXP box. The Win2K, or the, it looks like I did my wonderful thing wrong. The WinXP box, sorry about that. XP is running a web server, and we can go ahead and even take a look at that web server. But I'd like to do something a little bit fun, too, with this service to show you how it runs. I know somebody out there is connected to the internet right now and is probably checking their email. So I would really love an IP address of somebody out there, because we're going to throw you in here, monitor your computer, and then I'd love somebody else who has text messaging to give me their email address so we can send them a text message page, and whoever laptop we choose can turn it on or off whenever they'd like, and hopefully whomever gets the page can go and fix it. So I need an IP address. Come on. Somebody's IP address. It's not hard. You've all got them. All right. What have we got? 120, isn't it one? Does it start 128, 208 something? 208.
128, 208, 190,
190, 146. So let's go ahead and jump into this server, this Big Brother server. I am connecting over terminal services to get into it. And I will show you a little bit of how to do that as well, and some different things you can play with it. Unfortunately, it's a little bit slow, you know. I mean, I don't know. I thought they had a T1 line or something like that, but, you know, over a wireless. I mean, what can you ask for? But that's the other thing, is realizing the limitations of remote support. You're not sitting right there at your desktop. You're sitting virtually at your desktop, which is why we had a virtual beach. It's not as good, but it's that's fine. We don't have a problem. We can just do a basic ping to it, no problem. So yeah, you can grab just about anything you'd like. So we're going to just jump down to the configuration file. So we've got 109, 146, right? Excellent. 190, 146. Everybody happy with that? Excellent. So we'll just throw another tab there so it looks all pretty. So, and the other thing I need is the warn person. So who wants to get it? Somebody's got text messaging on their cell phone. Come on, you got to have it. I'm sure there's somebody here. All right. What's your 214? 906. What was that? 4891. And is it just like the email where I can just send an email at that thing? Do you know?
It's just easy to see. If you do it, you can just do a regular email, right?
Yeah, regular email.
Probably B Pittler.
Okay. B P I
B is Peter, I-T-T-L-E-R. Oh,
L E R B first, right? B Pittler. All right, everybody write that down. At where are you at? SMU.edu. Excellent, excellent. So we'll just save those. Perfect. And let's just restart our server here real fast. So when you do make configuration changes, you need to let it know to restart itself. The other thing I would, I guess, like to say is there are a lot of really cool things you can do with a lot of these different servers. We tried to give you a list so that you could look and play with a bunch of them and figure out what suits you. I will throw the caveat on here that this one, it is free, so you can monitor all sorts of different things. It takes it like a couple of minutes to go through and read through the files and refresh it, but you should grab it in a second here. And then you can, wherever you work, can take down your laptop whenever you'd like. But you should also know really fast that you're not supposed to, under the free GNU license, monitor anything like paid services. So if you're accepting online transactions, you need to call and talk to them. But if you're just using it to monitor servers and switches, that's all good. So while we're waiting for that to hopefully come up, let's try restarting it one more time just for the fun of it. I would like to. Oh yeah, great, happy day. Yeah, that's always good. Yeah. Excellent. I'd like to just show you a little bit about this testnet network while we're waiting for that to come up. You'll notice that I would on a lot of these services for getting into, somebody have a situation like, yeah, you guys have gotten called. What's a good call? Who here's gotten called like after hours to fix something? What went wrong? Web server fail. Right. Yeah, so we've got server problems. We've also got workstation problems. I'd like to, with those of you who run Linux, you've got SSH. Those of you who, run Windows, you've got terminal services. Two really great things to get into servers. For workstations, though, it's on the other handout we threw on some remote services. I'd like to show you sort of what VNC looks like here real fast to get into remote workstations. So right now we have a computer running VNC, and you'll notice it is this one right here, WinBox 2K1. If we go ahead and click on that, it will pull up and show that VNC is okay and the live IP address of the machine that's running it. If we click on our VNC viewer, we can type in the IP address and go ahead and connect to that machine, I hope. So this is another machine, a Windows 2000 box in Utah, running VNC. So right now I'm mucking around with the person's desktop, and I can help them fix whatever it is that they want to fix. I can open start services on this machine. I can open WordPerfect start. So if they call and say, I don't know, I lost my WordPerfect document for the thing I'm supposed to submit to the law review tomorrow morning, and I was halfway through with all my 4 hours of changes, and I need it, and you must help me get it. You can run VNC, see what they're doing, look and start, and help them figure it out. They can see what you do on their desktop. You can see what they do on their desktop. It's a little bit different than Windows makes, what's it called? Microsoft Remote Desktop, where it locks the person out of the desktop when you take control, so then they need to log back in. The one caveat I'll throw about this is that it doesn't, oh good, we have person. The website is not the the website part, as far as refreshing and renewing, you can program it to go down, but it's like about a minute, 2 minutes. So if you're relying on the website to give you instantaneous stuff to let you know, the email that gets whenever he decides to go down will let us know. It takes about a couple of seconds to get the email, so that will be happy. Well, I'm sorry for you, but yeah. And so whenever you'd like to do that, that would be great. VNC, though, is not a securely run protocol. You have two options then to run VNC. One is to shell it around an SSH client. The other option is to, which is what I do, is you have your firewall and you only turn VNC on when you need it and off when you don't, and nobody can get in on that port and they can't leave on that port. So how would you do that? You've got a machine, and I've got a machine. My web server has no VNC on it right now, but I can remotely get into my web server and turn stuff on and off. Well, how can I get into my web server if I don't have VNC running? I can't get into it. So how can I turn anything on or off? The trick comes in your Windows domain controller. From a domain controller, so if I go to my domain controller, I can remotely manage other computers on my network to turn on and off services. So once I'm into my domain controller, I can manage any computer that's logged onto the domain as soon as it decides to come up to open up a computer. So I want to type the other computer name, which is CALI Box 2. And it will launch the services of that computer. So just for fun, we could also turn off its web services. Let's go ahead and see what little fun, dumb web page I threw up on it. So if we go to that machine, I'm trying to remember what the IP address of it is here real fast. .69. 97.64.69. So we've got our web server that has hello, welcome, yay, happy day. And we're in our terminal server, Windows 2003 box, and we wanted to turn on VNC. So we scroll down to the bottom here, find our VNC service. We're going to go ahead and start that one. And we wanted to turn off the web because, you know, that's a pretty crappy page, and I could come up with something better. Yes, Dan? Okay, that's a good question. So we've got terminal services here, right? We have no terminal services here, no terminal services here. So we're using our domain server as our gateway point to get into the rest of the network and shell out from there. So from here, we can then turn on and off services on any of our subsidiary workstations. We can do that to our subsidiary other servers as well. We can turn on and off services. So the web service that went off, we can turn it back on. We can troubleshoot, you know, so long as it's not the network connection that's down. We can remotely, we've got to get in some way. So that is the caveat. But we can turn on and off services. Are there any other questions so far? Yeah. You can, as long as you enable the wake on LAN on the NIC or something like that, yes, you can then send the command from here to wake up the computer. Are there any other questions? Nope. Excellent. Cool. So if we go, so did we turn off web already? Oh, yay, we did. So if we go back to our big brother, oh, we have a problem. Somebody took down a workstation, and it looks like web's gone. That's not good. That's not good. So, and that's exactly what happens. It will show us exactly what's gone down, what the problems are. The email, let's see. I'm just going to log on to my email. By chance, does it get forwarded to when you get a page? It's not there yet? Oh, my goodness. Oh, I don't want to launch Outlook because I don't have that configured. Let's jump on the internet here. We'll take a look and see if I got it. And if I didn't and you didn't, then we'll really start to panic, right? Right. There's no need to panic, right? Because we can fix it. So let's take a look at my email. Well, I got two. Let's see here. Right here, I've got the first one. It has winbox2 winxp.http down. It lets us know when. If you just get the hot flag, it sends us a code 600, which is the code of connect or the code for HTTP, and then it gives us the IP address of the machine. So the next one down is the person. Yay, that's happy. So at least it got to me. Well, that's not good for for you. Good thing you're not on call. Let's go in and just look at and make sure I didn't do anything really, really silly. And let's just look at our rules here and just make sure we've got them right. Oh, yeah. Would help if I took out the comment line. Sorry about that. We'll just save this in. Great. You guys, you're supposed to be on top of me. Pounds are comment lines. We just don't need pounds. So let's save that, and hopefully you'll get the page here. Not that you really want it now, but And matter of fact, who's ever got the Linux box, if you can turn it back on and even grab the same IP address, the thingy will go away. I don't know if you can end up getting the same IP address, but there you go. So things you should or things I would recommend you should and shouldn't do. One, I would not load VNC on every machine and publish it to the internet. So what I've done here is a no-no. I would not recommend doing that. VNC, you can scan, you can port sniff, and you can crack, and it's not all that hard to do. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. What I would suggest doing is making sure in anything that you run VNC on, or any other remote publishing service, even terminal services, I would make sure you have behind a firewall something that's going to block traffic, and then only open up to machine or IP address, like Bob's computer or my home computer, and just open up through your firewall for that traffic to those addresses so you don't get your network exploited. Are there any questions on how to sort of set up a network in that way? No? Excellent. You guys are all doing great. Well, you guys, I'm more or less done. Are there any questions about the remote services and how to configure them? Excellent, terrific. Were you able to get your IP address back? Oh, you got the message now. Oh, excellent. Woohoo, yay. See, it does work. So he did get the message, so now he can go and fix the IP address. Yeah. Right now it's being hosted on the CALI BB server, which is a Windows 2003 server. It is running IIS. Yeah. With Nagos, you obviously can host it through Apache or something else. Some of the others, I do want to mention before I forget, on the remote services, on the list of, I want to go through and just tell a little bit about some of the monitoring services and go through a little bit of what I highlighted on each of the different monitoring services and what I think is important to look at in a monitoring service or not important. You'll notice, like under Big Brother, remote client and start services. So will it automatically go on to the XP box and restart the service before it even pages me? No, this service won't do that. There are some other remote monitoring products that will do that. The two ways in which they can do that are either by permissions or a client. So if you throw a client on your server or give it access via permissions to do those things, then some services can go and restart different services. The next thing is how to configure, how it's sort of configured. And I've gone through and said, are they configurable by text or GUI or some sort of web client? The next is how you read the information off of the service that you've installed. And most of them have either a client or a web interface. I would say that on some of them I did mark an SQL. And the reason I did that is they throw an unsecured SQL service on them. So I would say anytime you throw any sort of web server up, make sure you're aware, and it's using SQL, make sure you're aware of SA passwords. Usually SQL installs with a blank SA password, and that's just industry standard. So if you're curious, there's SQL Ping 2 that you can download and scan your network and find blank passwords. So I would say if you do any of those services, make sure you secure your SQL server. Other than that, then there's escalation services. So for example, we could do it so that whomever got the page only gets the page once, twice, 3 times. He gets it 500 times after 2 hours, then I could get a page. So it's configurable to go up the stream. So if you want, an email to be sent to your general help desk first, and then you want to get a numerical page 2 hours later, you can do that. You can also send it to tell you when send an email or a page for when services go back up. So if your LAN manager is responsible for keeping the switch up and running, and you're curious to know and you receive a page, you can also have it send a page letting you know when that service goes live again. So that's sort of a nice thing. The other thing is types of monitoring, what types of thing it can monitor. You can set it up. VNC is not a standard port for this service. I configured it especially for this so that it monitors the VNC on that server, so you can monitor ports, any port you want. Are there any questions about how to remotely manage and administer a network? You all got it. Perfect. We'd like to go back and leave the time to talk about some issues amongst ourselves about what we do want to support. Should we be supporting a box that's just sitting there? Do faculty members who have a journal that needs to get done get help at 2 in the morning? I have gotten calls at 2 in the morning to help with an email question. No, the email server was not down. They just weren't sure how to do an attachment. So that's my personal thing, and I for one am opposed to helping people with that kind of service at 2 in the morning. I have better things to do with my time. But that's the question I guess we pose to you guys is, what do you guys think about remote services?
So what did you say to this person that
it was probably a verbose conversation. And, I'm sure I just told them it can wait, and I'll be more than happy to help you tomorrow. Yeah.
I get some of those calls, and if I decide that I'm going to actually take that call, usually what I do, if I get a call, I usually try to figure out if it's something I think is critical. But I actually kind of go into my system a little bit differently. We're using Alperis.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a Nix guy, so I couldn't have to go VNC on the server SSH with exporting, and we look at bring up a kind of quick connection, then I do it remote. I do remote into machine that has the Alperis and that has a firewall that only allows those connections from that particular server.
Uh-huh.
And then from there I can get remote desktops through Alperis to
one of the interesting things I would suggest is even if you don't want to do 24/7 support for your institution, throwing a service like this or similar to this so that your help desk, usually most of us have libraries joined with our law schools that are there a whole lot more hours than we are. If the person at the library can look on when the faculty member has a question, and if all's green, there's no reason to call somebody at home. There are no critical services that are down. There's no, I mean, if they can't print, there's still not a problem with the core network. And the help desk can be aware of that. A lot of times we instruct our faculty to call the library, and the library's like, well, yeah, I don't know. Here's their home number. And then I get a call. That's one solution that I guess might help reduce the amount of not you having to decide and be woken up, but somebody else actually deciding beforehand. Any other comments about 24/7? Are there any managers that mandate 24/7 support? Do any of you provide 24/7 support? Sort of? Yes.
We use Anywhere quite a bit, and I use BMC on the office machine to plug into that. Pretty much each day around a focus job here.
So
Database
who lets you know when stuff goes?
Well, I don't do much monitoring with when the library calls me up on Saturday morning and says, internet's down or whatever.
Uh-huh. So,
I'm actually kind of looking forward to testing some of this.
right.
Library.
Yeah. So in your case, the library lets you know. I mean, I guess that's I guess this is taking a more proactive approach of letting you know beforehand, before the library lets you know. I mean, you can get a page in a couple of seconds when stuff goes up or down. Does anybody else here attempt to provide 24/7 support, or feel like that they provide 24/7 support? What's your experience? Uh-huh. Right. I guess I'm curious. Is 24/7? I was really impressed to hear that California, I guess, took such a proactive approach on not abusing their support staff, and set up rules to do that. Is this a good thing or a bad thing to take such a strong approach of saying no exempt employees, and I don't make over $91,000 a year, but I am definitely exempt. Is that any comments? Do you think it would be a good thing? No, I agree. Any other comments? Oh, you guys are like quiet today. Lunch must have, you're ready to take a nap. I know I am. But I guess that's one of the interesting things. I am definitely not a proponent of 24/7 support, which was interesting when my boss, the director of IT, asked, why I wanted to present on 24/7 support. And a large part of it is there are things that we can do that will help improve, I guess, the support that we give to our people 24/7 without us being there 24/7. One is, and I think it's an excellent idea, is formally identifying what services are 24/7. Is somebody printing a 24/7 support? Is your website crucial 24/7? Is email crucial 24/7? Is file services crucial? Are file services crucial 24/7? And one thing interesting, we have a professor that always comes in and says the Western world has not collapsed. When there's a problem, we are not heart surgeons or brain surgeons. It is an email site, and that's something, you know, it is a website. Yeah.
I've always had the view that, the public face of the law school, or those kind of things that I support 24 hours, that things that are about, that don't affect, like, the public face of the law school, those things can usually wait.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stuff like printing, I mean, they can, they can wait, or they can put it up there, or they can do something easy. They can find some other way to do something like that. My thing is just, it's kind of the first thing, just keep us off at 6 o'clock, or 11 o'clock, like that. Just make sure that the public face of the law school is running on. And a lot of these other things, we can deal with those, make whatever rational decision about the things, whether we really need to deal with that or not.
Just out of curiosity, does the public face extend to email?
No.
Excellent. Happy day. Yeah, all he's got is a web server. Excellent. Excellent, yeah.
Things are changing as we use the web server for more things. We actually have some professors that have timed exams, take home exams, they check out from the web server, and then the students are responsible for uploading. And if you have a failure at the time, and that could be any time, because they could have checked it out at 6 in the morning, and they could check it out at 2 a.m., and then they have 12 hours to return it. So it becomes more critical at certain times at least. And with, I'm sure that's going to expand doing web courses or things like that, where there's going to be more critical things going on at any time.
And that's another important thought is that, you know, during exams or crucial times, I mean, perhaps service should be extended and thought about a bit more. I mean, a lot of professors leave and email results of grades back to their registrar. They're gone, you know, and those are things that need to be considered and maybe bumped up around key times and important things to think about as an institution of what you want to do, define what it is you want to do, and then look at the resources that are available to you, decide how best to institute that. We often feel like it's such a nebulous thing. Nobody wants to do it. I don't want to be here. They don't want to do it. No, you know, I mean, it becomes quite a sticky mess. But I really think that if we take it piece by piece, what are the important services? Is it during exam times? Is it not during exam times? And then what services exist to us to help analyze that? First, we need to know. I mean, I'm a strong supporter of knowledge. Even if I know that web is down, I can then decide, is it important or not? I don't need that. That's what I get paid for, is to decide to determine what deserves the support that second or not that second. If it is just a switch and it's 5 machines that are going out, it can probably wait. It's not a crucial service. If it is the router that goes out and the web server goes down along with it and everything else, perhaps it is a crucial service. But I can make that decision. Until that happens, I'm sitting at home thinking, oh my, I have no clue what has just happened. It could be person can't print to the entire network is really down. And we just really like to thank you for your time and participation. And if there aren't any other questions, hey, enjoy a wonderful rest of the conference. Thank you.
Is anybody here for distance learning? I was just curious. Is that something that's really starting to take hold in law schools, or that's certainly not a consideration? And I'm curious, the other two of you that did the 24/7 support, you guys
Oh, okay. Sorry.
did overtime, or you
The
there? or-
Big Brother isn't. So we have
You may have closed it.
No problem. So here we are. Our web server is stopped. Right? It is on a Windows XP box. All right? So we have two options, I guess. If VNC on this box were turned on, we could go into it. But on this server right here, I have terminal services installed. Okay, so I can get into this server, and then from this server, I can turn that service on or off.
And then that switch that off.
Right. Exactly.
So this would be a good way to handle the different services, either server issues.
Right.
But if a workstation, somebody is stuck.
So for workstation, right, yeah, so this guy isn't able to figure out how to print or attach an email. You can turn on VNC on that computer, the same way you turn on or off the service. And then from VNC, when you open VNC, you can actually
Go to the IP address, so they have to communicate to you their IP address.
not necessarily as there are ways once you're in your server originally. Well, for example, right here, if I had every single workstation on my thing, I can just click here. There is the IP address. So I
You
could
plug
say
it into VNC, you go in, and you actually basically just like Windows remote.
exactly. So they could say, "You have any
How
problem?"
does this work with networks that don't have necessarily great switches?
We are running it from here to Utah over whatever's there. I've run it off of dial-up connections. At home, I have no fast network. I just dial into a server and use
So
it
it doesn't
from there.
require good network performance.
Nope.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. How's it going?
I'm just curious, you said use Aware, but you didn't expand on it. Do you like Aware? I mean, we use it a lot.
Yeah. I just threw this out as I guess a free, easy solution that's relatively simple.
I really like. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, excellent.
Interesting.
Interesting. All right.
I don't know. You guys provide student support?
We do provide student support. We provide no 24/7 student support. So for us, it is we formalize no 24/7 student support. So if email goes down, we've never had a. We've actually, this is the first time we've had it, our first issue with the student calling, but I've had faculty not, they're on me.
We have a few little call on Saturdays,
Uh-huh.
but for the most part, it's students.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it's.
But, yeah.
I had a faculty member page me from the East Coast. Obviously, a number I didn't know. And was quite upset because I didn't answer that.
Yeah.
Well, I got one. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't know you were on the East Coast. And what am I going to do for you there anyway? She was a printer.
I got a call from our team yesterday afternoon. I spent 20 minutes on it before I got it, was able to get it awarded twice, which I told you 3 times.
Yeah, no, and I am definitely not a proponent of being on call at all. I have other things to do with my time in my life than babysit a network that really doesn't need to be up 24/7. I mean, regardless of, there's just better things to do, and so I agree. There's other things to do, and I think part of it is also an education issue on some of our administrative people about what should be taken into account.
Yeah, there comes a point where if they would want to.
Yeah, and even if they would want to be, I certainly don't.
Anyway, you don't mind.
No problem. No problem. Oh, all right. I will do so.
It's nice meeting you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
No problem. Are these? You don't want to lose them.
Phones are the, what is on?
No problem. I probably should have. Oh, anyways, that's all right. No, those two over there are mine. All right.
What's my bag? Both missing. So.
Did you get the wireless remote back?
I did.
I took it off and
Yep,
okay,
got it.
all right.
It's all taken care of.
Good. I didn't want to, take it with me.
Yeah, which is
The,
really easy to
the
forget
problem
about.
of choice.
Thank you.
Yeah.